So COP, the Conference of Parties by the UN Climate Change Group, is really a platform to move the conversation forward on climate change. This was started 27 sessions ago. That's why this one's called COP27. And each year there's new things that are really brought forward in those negotiations and conversations. But the main goal at this point comes back to the Paris Climate Change Agreement, where the world came together to limit warming to 2 degrees Celsius, which is 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit, with the aspiration of keeping that to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So all of this additional work comes around that global goal.
Who's there? Is it worldwide?
This is truly worldwide. Every country is represented both in the negotiations and the events here. So you really have 3 things happening at once: the actual negotiations, but then there is activism that goes on around this, a lot of people raising their voice in different ways, and then in general, broad conference that has been created around this entire conference. And so within that conference itself, the real uniqueness is it brings together all sectors. It's the science, it's the communication, but it's also the finance, it's the business, it's the oceans, it's the natures, it's the full range of anything connected to climate change.
What is Climate Central doing there? What are you doing there?
Climate Central's main goal here is our connection to science and communication, and really helping people understand how this is happening to them right now and what can be done going forward. And one of our primary platforms for that is our new Climate Shift Index, which allows us to now, across the entire globe, see the role of climate change in our daily temperatures. And today is a big day for us here because it's Science Day. There are theme days each day, and it's Science Day. So we're doing a lot of stuff around where is the science, what do we understand, and how that informs action going forward.
So what are you bringing back that you can share with us?
Well, everything's connected globally, but you feel it locally. And that's where we fit in this conversation. Our weather is global. Our countries are connected through so many ways, weather being one of them. But then you feel it at home where you live. So we play a lot of that bridge between understanding the global science, being able to translate it to people locally of why it matters, what it's affecting, and in turn, what can be done about it.
Any breaking information you can share with the viewers of the National Weather Desk?
Every day there are new commitments coming out here, from finance to youth pledges to how we're going to limit methane, another form of greenhouse gas going forward, and how different sectors play into that limitation. So every day there's so much being announced. The real thing that I think that we can say is the overall theme of this COP in particular is implementation. There have been so many pledges made over the years. Action is also being made, but how do we take those pledges and really translate those into a faster action? Because there's 2 things happening at once here. We are bending the curve somewhat when it comes to global warming, but our warming is happening so much faster. So solutions are in place, they are working, it's just not fast enough. So that's really what this COP in particular is about, is implementation. How do we take those pledges, those goals, those interests by people and really make them into action faster?
Anytime you have a global conference like this, safety is always a concern. How is safety there?
Safety is a great question. So far, no concerns that we've experienced. I mean, this is also a UN event, so there's a lot of security around that, a lot of focus around that. But it's a lot of people coming in from a lot of different places. This year in Egypt, there are different security concerns than there were in Glasgow, but the UN does a really good job with that, at least from my experience. One of the themes that was coming out through the science framework here at COP is early warning systems, and that's from the World Meteorological Organization. They've created this framework. In the United States, we have lots of great data. We have lots of great scientists. We're able to get information out at a rate quicker than a lot of other countries. That's not the case for everyone everywhere. So the UN and the WMO are really working on this early warning system. And this is a place where meteorologists around the world can play into that role, keeping people safe and keeping people prepared.